In this video, I'm going to show you how to do rear brakes on a Jeep Patriot located in the rear fender wells. 19mm socket, and remove the tire. This one has a floating hubcap on it. It just comes off with the lug nuts. And just grab your tire and take it off. So this is the caliper, and it's mounted to the caliper bracket, which gets bolted to the knuckle. So we're going to take our two slide pins off, and it's a 14mm socket or wrench. The top one you're only going to get a wrench on because the flex hose is right in the way. It's actually hard to even get the bolt out at some point. So I'm going to take that off. And then the bottom one, same 14. Get that out of the way. Pretty rusted. So now we're going to lift the caliper off the bracket and slide it up like this. You can slide this out of the caliper bracket. It just barely makes it by the flex hose. That's why you got to be careful and take your time. You can just squeeze it by. You might actually have to put like a wrench in there, pry it a little bit. But you won't get that caliper off without it going past the flex hose. So once you slide it past that bracket, so you've got to kind of flex hose, turn the caliper and keep unscrewing it. You can get that bolt right past the flex hose. It takes a little bit. Now let's get that caliper up and out of the way. Our back pad is stuck in the caliper bracket, so you're going to have to tap that out. It's pretty rusted in there. Now we're going to take the rotor off. I'm just going to give it a tap. So before you throw your old rotor out, make sure you take this rubber boot and take it out and put it in the new rotor. That is the little window for the self-adjuster down here. So we want to clean our hub surface. That's this flat surface with the lug nuts on it, so that the rotor will sit nice and flush, get all the rust off. I like to use a copper or a metal wire brush. It's a brass one. So now, before I install my rotor and my new brake pads, with the rotor gone, you have better access to the caliper bracket. So I'm going to take off the old hardware, just like this. And I'm going to take a wire brush and I'm going to clean up those spots before I put the new tins on. Let's take the boots off and examine those to make sure they're good. We're looking for no cuts, no breaks, no swelling. Now before I put those back on, I'm going to take a screwdriver. I'm going to make sure that everything's good inside. Sometimes there's rubber boots that go on the end of the pins and they fall off and they get stuck inside. All seems good. I can take some silicone paste and I'm going to lightly coat where the tins go underneath on the bracket, both the top and the bottom. This stops water from building up and rust forming, which would push those pads up because the rust would start to rise. Now I'm going to put some silicone on the inside. In addition to that, I'm going to put some paste actually on the inside of the boots, because that's what will keep them staying lubricated, is we'll put some silicone paste on the inside of those little ribs. I like to squish it around. Keeps the plastic, the rubber from drying out also. But this will keep the pin as it slides in and out lubricated. put our boots back on. That's the bigger end, and basically you slide it over the lip. So now we can install our hardware on the caliper bracket. These are the tins. Just going to go right over. Make sure they're seated all the way down, top and bottom. There is no difference between the top and the bottom on this particular car. They're both the same fitting, and we will not put anything on the tops. We want those pads to slide evenly, not collecting. People think grease would make it work and slide smoothly, but grease would collect the sand from the road, brake dust, and eventually it clogs up and then the pad gets frozen in place. Now I'm going to add some Never See spray to keep this from freezing up or getting the rotor actually stuck to it. And we can grab the new rotor and put it on. So now we're going to take our caliper and we're going to prep it for installation. I'm going to take the old pad off so that I can push that piston back and check it out. I just take a hammer. You can take a screwdriver, but just banging it right out of place. So now I've taken that pad out of the way. So I'm going to set this down. I got a catch basin down there, and I'm going to open my bleeder screw. There we go. Make sure it drips into that basin, and then I'm going to get a tool and I'm going to push my piston back. We should see brake fluid coming out, but we don't. So that's an indication that maybe this screw is clogged. Let's see if we get any fluid out when I take the bleeder screw out. Yep, there's your brake fluid. So this bleeder is completely clogged. So replace it or take a drill to it, get all the dirt out. I'm going to opt to clean it, so I'm going to snug it up until I get my tool ready so I don't lose all the brake fluid. And I'll go get a drill and get ready to clean that up. So I have a little 3/32 drill bit, and I'm going to clean that dirt out just by going back and forth. Now it's bottomed out, so it's not going into the caliper. I did that on purpose, so now I know that the center of that is all cleaned out. Now I can take my bleeder screw off, and I'm going to clean the little hole on the bottom that goes into the actual caliper. And that's usually located on the side. This is the one that really clogs up. There it is. And there it is. It's coming out the actual bleeder screw like it should. Snug that up. Get some brake clean. We'll clean that mess up. Now we know the caliper is good. It's going to work better now, meaning being able to bleed it easier. So I'll take some brake clean, parts cleaner, clean this up. We'll get the brake pads, install them. I'm going to install the outer one first, just like the one we took out. It has those two dimples in it in the butterfly spring, and you're just going to line that up. I like to take a hammer and just tap it, but you got to be careful. And then you'll see those dimples fall right into the seating points. Once you take that hammer, it snaps right into place. Those pins fall in. So now we're going to put the indicator on, and it's going to go on the bottom because it goes on first contact of the rotation. And see these indents? They go right in there, like that. Seating right in place and stays there. Now we can put our pad in. Doesn't matter whether it's top or bottom first. Slide it right into place. So now we're going to put the caliper on, and remember that top pin hits that flex hose. It's really not the greatest design. I feel like the best way to do it is to put that in this way, but have the flexibility of moving the flex hose around, so you can kind of get it, the caliper up like that, as you can see. Get your 14 millimeter. Okay, so I'm going to put a socket and ratchet on there so that I can push and turn at the same time to get those threads to start. So if you can get it to start by pushing, like I said, you want to be able to flex this up and down to get it past that flex hose. Let's see if we can get it started. Okay, got it started. So now I'm going to use an open end wrench on there. That's the 14 millimeter. So you have to push and get that thread started. So the pin with the rubber bushing is the bottom one, so you're going to slide that back, put it right in there. So you'll feel it go right in. You could start that by hand. And we have our top one started. We don't need to wiggle that caliper back and forth. That's why you put the top pin in first, because of that design with that flex hose in the way. I'm just going to bottom this one out now. It just takes a little bit of time to process. Okay, now we're going to snug the bottom. We'll get our torque wrench and torque it to spec. 14 millimeter socket, and the torque spec is 32 foot-pounds for the actual pin to bracket caliper. Let's see if we can get the top done. So now that the rotor is on, we're going to adjust our parking brake shoe, and that's down on the side here. That's where the adjuster is. And we're gonna get it so that the shoes bottom out on that hat. This is the hat. And spin it. Keep feeling it, make sure it stays loose enough. On this particular setup, we're going to go with it through this little ear. We're going to bring the star rotation like that. I guess you would call it counterclockwise. Check it. That's pretty good. It grabs pretty good. It's not, you don't want it too tight. You want it so that it's just hitting the hat, and then you can adjust it as you go down. So now we're going to put our rubber boot back in. That's all sealed. Now once the brakes are all together, wheels on, you can adjust parking brakes by, if you have the handle type parking brake, emergency brake, you want to hold the button and go in reverse slowly in your parking lot and just pump up on that parking brake. You can do the same with a foot brake by pulling on the release handle, put it in reverse, obviously keeping aware of your area, and ratcheting that parking brake. That's how you would get these shoes to adjust out to the right proper tension. So now the caliper's on, take our 8 millimeter wrench and open that bleeder screw. Make sure you have a catch basin below. We're just going to gravity bleed this. It takes about 5, 6, 7 minutes. You want to get a steady stream. Make sure there's no air in it. It's been about 5 minutes. No more air, so we're going to close this up. Make sure it's nice and tight. We'll clean the area. Let's put our rubber dust boot back on, and we're ready to go. Normally this should come with a rubber boot. That's why I had to drill it out, because the road sand filled that whole thing up and clogged that bleeder. So now that we've cleaned it and drilled it out and it works, I have just a little spare rubber boot, and I'm just going to put that on there. Make sure it doesn't happen again. Now we can put our wheel back on. This is the type the hubcap goes on first. It's a little center cap. We'll start our lug nuts by hand. Now with a 19 millimeter socket, I'm going to snug it up in a star pattern. Let it bottom out. Okay, now we'll lower it and torque it. 19 millimeter socket, and we're going to torque the wheels to 100 foot-pounds. And I'm going to go in a star pattern to go crisscross, same way, 100 foot-pounds. Double check. good to go. So we're going to top off our master and then road test it. Make sure the cap is on tight. Let's do it. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.